My name is Jeff Bullock with Elevation Tax, and today I wanted to tackle one of the questions we get from clients regarding an S corporation. There are times where somebody might make the S election to become an S corporation, but as their company evolves and as their investments or other activities evolve, it makes sense to actually revoke that S election status. And so in order to do that, there are certain steps that must take place and things that have to be filed with the IRS in order to remove that S status or the S election status from that existing corporation. So today I just wanted to talk about those steps that are necessary to revoke that S election. The first step that you must take is that you have to have a vote among the current shareholders. So of the existing shareholders, there must be at least 50% that agree to the termination of the S Corp status. In addition, the business still must comply with its own bylaws and state law. And this means that the vote must follow the rules and the standards of both. And the proper notice of the vote must be given to the S corporation shareholders. The second thing is that the S corporation must submit a letter to the IRS stating its intent to terminate its tax status. The letter must include a statement of consent from each shareholder that agree to the termination of the S corporation status. So these statements should list each of the shareholders' name, their address, their tax identification number, so like their social security number, and how much of the outstanding stock each one of them owns in order to make that 50% vote. And all of the shareholders who vote to terminate the S election must sign the letter. The form must be mailed to the IRS at the appropriate address, and the actual address will depend on where you made your S election. So whatever office you mailed in your S election is the same office that you would mail in your consent to revoke the S election. It can also be found in the instructions of where to file, the instructions of Form 2553. And then the last thing is regarding the actual date of the revocation. So you can, in the letter, you can tell the IRS when you want to revoke the status, but if there isn't any date listed in the letter, it's going to be basically two options. So if no date is specified and the IRS gets the letter on or before March 15th, assuming you have a December 31st tax year end, then the revocation is going to be effective at the beginning of that current tax year. If the letter is received after March 15th, then the revocation is going to be effective at the beginning of the corporation's next tax year. But then in the letter, if you actually state a date in there, whatever date you state is the date that the IRS will allow that S election to be revoked, as long as it's after the date that it was submitted. You can't go retroactive, so it has to be a date in the future or the date that you submit it. And if you do that, normally what's going to happen is you're going to have two different tax returns that are required to be filed. You're going to have one tax return where you would file as an S corporation, and then the second tax return will be whatever status the new entity is, or whatever status it went back into, whether it was a C corporation or maybe an LLC. So normally if you do a mid-year status change, you're going to have two different tax returns that are going to need to be filed. One thing to keep in mind as well is that if the entity decides to dissolve or revoke its status, it can't reapply to be an S corporation for 5 years. So this isn't something that you can do 1 year, be an S corporation, switch back, and kind of bounce back and forth. Once you've revoked that status, it'll be set for 5 years. As always, if you have any questions or would like to discuss additional details about your situation, please give us a call at 888-519-1666 to schedule your free consultation. You can also subscribe to our monthly newsletter as well as our YouTube channel for additional tax tips. And if there are any questions that you'd like us to answer in these YouTube videos, just please leave them in the comments below. And thanks for watching.